Greetings VC, Andy here again, and I've got 8 records to show you in this video. They're all been picked up over a few months, I guess. A whole mix of styles, real massive variation here, and I've sort of piled them all up to show you in one go. I think some of them are better well known than others. Well, some are really well known and they're just basically gap fillers. I've got a few which I think are sort of more interesting, and I've done samples of those. And I'm starting with a record which was reissued. It's a reissue which came out actually at the end of November, and I'd sort of discovered it had come out halfway through December, and went searching for it, and to be honest, they virtually everywhere had that sort of notify me button. So in other words, it's sold out pretty well. Anyway, I found one, and the album is the return of the Durutti Column by the Durutti Column. So this came out originally in 1980. The Durutti Column essentially is Vinnie Riley, and Vinnie Riley is I think he's one of my guitar heroes. Much more understated than the usual guitar heroes. He's got a very distinctive style. If I was to say finger picking, that would be really misleading, but it's sort of, it is sort of finger picking, but not in the sort of bluegrass style, for example. This is not country. This comes from Manchester. So Vinnie Riley was one of Tony Wilson's prodigies, and in the early days of Factory Records, the album originally was released in 1980. And it was Factory 14, Fact 14. So one of the early records released by Wilson's label. This passed me by at the time. It was much later that I came across the Durutti Column, but I would say in 1980 this was entirely different from anything going on at the time. It's a beautiful record. It's sort of instrumental. It's all about Vinnie's guitar, but he does a lot of sampling and other things, and it's just a superb record. And this version, as I say, it just came out. It's described as anniversary edition. So 1980 it was, and it came out in 2025. So it was a 45-year anniversary. And it's not exactly an audiophile sort of standard thing, but it was. They've said here, remastered from the original tapes and half-speed master. So it's a very clean sound, and it is superb. And pretty well all of these records, bar the next one, is on black vinyl. So this is a single LP. One I just picked up over sort of Christmas, New Year in online sale. It's a bit of a gap filler, but just superb. And it's the eponymous debut of Funkadelic, which came out in, I think it was 1970 originally. And in terms of guitar heroes, of course, this features the magnificent Eddie Hazel, who's described in here as Ed Hazel. So, and of course, I mean, it is superb funk with some of the best guitar work around, it's just brilliant. There's how many tracks on there? Just 4 on side. They're all sort of fairly lengthy. 4 on side 1 and 3 on side 2, and it's Funkadelic launching themselves to the world, and absolutely brilliant. And this, another single LP, but this was quite snazzy, in a sort of yellow and black swirly affair. Superb. and next, another one I picked up in online sale, you know, fairly heavily discounted, like the Funkadelic and like a couple of the other ones I'm going to talk about. And this was it's a solo album called Solar Gambling by Omar Rodriguez I don't know, Lopez or Lopez, I don't know. So Omar is essentially the guitarist from the Mars Volta and before that at the Drive-In. I always thought it described the Mars Volta and Omar and so on as sort of Tex-Mex coming from El Paso, Texas, and not doing a lot of Spanish. But actually, Omar apparently originally comes from Puerto Rico. And this album is much more. It came out in 2010 originally. This is a reissue from, not sure when, 2 or 3 years ago. And as I say, it was fairly heavily discounted. There are how many tracks on there? 9 altogether. It's mostly the tracks and the vocal and the lyrics are in Spanish. There's a great variety on here. It's more sort of more restrained than the Mars Volta typically, though Omar does get into some sort of fairly heavy riffing, fuzzy guitar. But there's also some, and I should have checked it, but I don't know the lady's name, but there's some nice female vocals in here as well. And as I say, some tracks are quite restrained, some are sort of quite heavy and a little bit proggy, but it's a lovely album. And I'll play a track now. Here I'm going to mangle some Spanish. Un buitre amable mi pico, which I think means a kindly vulture pecked me. I think I read that. I might have that totally wrong. Apologies if I do. I'll play a sample of that because that's one of the more delicate tracks, but there's quite a mix in there. So it's a nice one. As I say, it's in black. Now for something completely different. The next 2 records are from Soviet era Eastern Europe, and I'm starting with a 1974 release from Poland. Now, in terms of Polish prog, before there was Riverside, there was SBB, and SBB. This is their solo. Their debut album, as I say, 1974. SBB actually stands for Silesian Blues Band, which was the original name of the band. I think for many years they were a backing band to a particular singer, and they went solo in this. This was their first headlining live show, and there's some prog in there, and it's sort of, there's a little bit of ELP in a way, because there's a lot of piano and Moog, early 70s Moog, but also you can hear their blues rock background coming out. So you've also got quite a lot of blues rock. You've got a mix of you've even got a bit of jazz fusion going on in there. A lot of piano, but also some really good guitar work and heavy drumming, pounding drumming. So this, I can't remember where I got this one from. I think I might have seen somebody talking about it. I'm not sure. Anyway, I went looking for this, found it on Discogs. It was a tenner or something like that. And I also bought the next one, which I'll come to in a minute. So absolutely love this. It's brilliant. It's very, obviously 70s Polish. It's got the flimsiest sleeve ever, and it's just in plain. This is actually an original first press, so it's obviously Polish press, but it's different, but I love it. It is really good. And the next one was, this made me laugh. So when I bought that SPB from a guy on Discogs, I had a look at some of the other stuff he'd got and came across this. I think it was £3 or something like that, and obviously in the same postage. And I thought, I'll give it a go. And it's called Locomotiv GT, and it's a Hungarian band from Budapest, and this was released in 1980. I should have said SBB are still going, by the way, I believe. Locomotiv GT sort of started in the 70s. This came out in 1980. There were lots of records, quite a few of them eponymous, like this one. But this is brilliant, and it is disco funk. It's funky disco music from 1980. It's great. It's just completely different. It's a bit bonkers, and there's quite a few tracks on there. So the lyrics for surprisingly for the time are all in English. Which, considering we're going back to Soviet era Eastern Europe or Central Europe, it's that I find quite surprising. And it's just brilliant. I'll play a sample of it. I mean, the sample, the track is called Boogie Land, which says it all. So that's brilliant.
Well, I've grown old and I feel like a big boo. You know, my opium is totally out to chew. I got my money, I'm the leader of the band, but in the struggle I lost my boogie land. Don't you fret, don't you fret, don't you fret, get a wireless set. Really.
So now the next three were again, I got very recently in online sales. I'm not going to do samples because either the albums are well known or the tracks are, and so this was quite an interesting one. I love LCD Soundsystem. I've got none of it on vinyl, and this one hails from a it's called What's Happening Berlin Festival 2010. So it was a live record, live recording from then. So I don't know whether I think it's official. It's official release by the festival. And as I say, it was pretty cheap online. Just 8 tracks on it, but it's got like Daft Punk is playing in my house, Drunk Girls. So it's LCD Soundsystem from 15 years ago, so it's not got some of their later stuff, but and they're great live bands. So that was that. All these next ones, I'm not going to. They're all black vinyl. The next one, now this is an album, a record I should have had years ago, but just somehow never did. And it's the Doors debut. So I've got LA Woman and another one I can't remember, but this has just been missing from my collection, and I love it. And the end, the track, the end, the magnificent 11 minutes, I think is absolutely superb. Great album, and it was sort of like on offer. It was reasonably cheap and it's a decent reissue as well. It's a sort of, it's still in the original mono, but it's a very good pressing on heavyweight vinyl. And the last one again is just a bit of a fill-in. It was there staring at me in a sale a few months ago actually. And it's Metallica, Master of Puppets, so 86 was it, early 80s, and there's the band looking very young, and it's one of their classic albums, and I just didn't have it, and it was there looking at me, so I thought I'd get it. So, a nice set of of records, not new releases, but you know, stuff I like. And I was really pleased with that Eastern European stuff from the from, you know, 74 and 80. It was just really different, but shows the quality. So thanks for watching. Cheers.